I just had a dealership that reached out to me and they said, "Hey, can you come talk to our sales team about social media and how to brand themselves?" And I said, "Sure." And it was so fun because it was the GM and he says, "But wear a suit. The owner's going to be there, so
Right.
wear a suit." And I said, "Okay." So I woke up that morning. I'm thinking, I got an idea. So I put on my Batman suit.
Don Brady. Okay, let's see. How we gonna start this off? So, I think just start talking, man. I know you said you have a podcast, right?
Well, I don't have a podcast. I started a podcast at the end of December, beginning of January, and I made a decision that I wanted to do it, and I didn't want to do it like a daily or a weekly or even a monthly show. I wanted to kind of do it when something hit me.
Okay.
And the idea was to try to help salespeople out there with by talking about some of the things that I stumbled upon through my sales career.
Okay.
That maybe a little idea would help them or something might spark them to do some changes in what they do and maybe help some people down the road.
Okay.
So
what is your show called?
It's called The Don Brady Show, and it's on YouTube. And I think all 6 of my followers think it's really good. No, they just know that I'm being me.
Right.
And that's really, it's not that it's good. It's, again, I've been on social media 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm a one-take guy, so when I do a video and I stutter, which occasionally I do, or I stumble on my words, which occasionally I do, I post it and I move on. I just keep going. And I had never been on social media.
No.
And here I am, 51 years old. A little over 3 years ago, I decided to get on social media. Started on LinkedIn, and then I jumped on Facebook, and those are the only 2 platforms I'm on. If you would have told me back then that 3.5 years later I'd have almost 40,000 people following me on those 2 platforms, I would have never believed it. But my business, it's 100% either referrals or from social media. So it's really working for me, and I'm having the time of my life, and I'm just being me.
That's it, man. So welcome to the Don Brady Show, right?
Okay. I actually think it's more the Ramon Show, and I got to tell you, man, I've caught little bits and pieces of your TikToks and your Facebook and some little bit on LinkedIn as well, and I'm impressed with you. I mean, I loved the time, and I know it wasn't a long time. We worked together at Vanderveer Chevrolet in Akron, but your smile and your laugh is contagious, and you're just a good guy, man, to the core, a good person. So when I saw you were doing this, and if you're out there and you need someone to do video or websites, you got to contact him and his team here because this studio is incredible. I mean, you need to come to Akron to see LeBron's house and this studio.
It
is that nice.
Next stop, right?
Yep, this is that nice. So great job, man. Congratulations.
I greatly appreciate that, man. For sure. So let's see. I want to say this to you, and I appreciate everything that you said. So we worked together for a year, and I sold cars for a year. And it just, I guess, really, it ended up not being for me, man, because I got such a soft heart. And I think you got to have a little bit of edge to be able to, you know what I mean? A thicker skin to be able to be a car salesman.
Well, I would say a thicker skin because you're told no a lot.
Yeah.
And Akron was a little bit different, like that dealership in particular, and I love those guys. I mean, I do, but there was a lot of bad credit customers that come through, and so not only are you have customers telling you no, a lot of times you got to tell them no. Like they come in and they want that shiny Camaro with a little bit of money down and a $200 payment, and they what they qualify for is a whole different animal. It's a Malibu with 100,000 miles on it, and they need 3,000 down, and their payment's $350. So that was a tough gig at times.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I spent 22 years in the car business. The last 6 or 7 years was as a general manager, so I was really helping. That's where my passion was really helping the entire team. Mm-hmm. And I can honestly say that the whole time I was a manager in the car business, I never had one person work for me. I worked for them. And I feel like, and I hope the salespeople felt that I was there for them, and I wanted to do everything I could to help them. And there was a lot of conversations where they would come to me and they'd say, I don't think this is for me, and it's hard, and then you got the hours are long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's all those other things. And, they always say how car salespeople are rated like, basically just slightly above pond scum type of thing. And just because you're a car salesman, that you're a liar and all these things. And I spent my entire 22 years trying to prove to customers that is not the case.
Right.
And I am not that person. And, I can really, truly help you. And I like to say that I never sold a car, even though when I was selling cars, I sold 30 to 40 cars a month.
Oh, yeah.
I helped people get what they wanted. I helped them. I didn't sell them. I helped them. And I think that the customers that did buy over and over and over from me, and they referred their friends and family to me, they knew that was what was happening when they sat down with Don Brady.
Oh,
I mean, I was helping them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you helped me out a few times, I'll tell you that, man.
I did my best.
I couldn't close some deals sometimes. I called it Don.
Yeah, it was neat when I don't remember what part of my career I got nicknamed the closer, but it's what happened. I mean, eventually they all came to me and said, especially if they were the hard ones, they said, "Hey, send Don in."
That's it, man.
And that felt good. When I would watch them sway from a no to a yes, to help the salespeople, ultimately.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man. We had fun. We did have fun.
We did have fun, and we had a lot of good people around us.
Oh yeah,
I mean, really did. I've been very blessed in my career that I've had good people surrounding me, really the whole time. I mean, for 22 years, and then 10 years prior to that, I was in the Army. So I've got 32 years, and now for 3.5 years, I've been helping car dealers now ship vehicles all over the country, and then. Really, just not too long ago, I made a new announcement of another direction in my life and career that's about to happen. So
okay, we're gonna touch on that.
Okay,
but you mentioned people surrounding you, right?
Yes.
So I wanna know, growing up as a young Don Brady growing up, who were the people that surrounded you? Who in your household, like who molded you into who you are today?
Okay, well, thanks for that question. Wasn't expecting it, so thank you. So I was born in Alliance, Ohio, so not too far from here. And I was, in fact, we moved to Canton, Ohio, and that's where, and then my dad, who worked for my grandpa, decided that he was going to join the Army. And he joined the Army late in life, so like mid to late 20s. So when he went to basic training, they were calling him Grandpa. He was a little on the overweight side, a little on the out of shape side. Not that I can talk now, but he joined the Army, and I remember even I think I was 6 or 7 years old, and I was proud of him. And I know my mom was proud, and my brother and sister, everybody was really proud of him. Mm-hmm. But he made that decision, and he joined, and he went to basic training and AIT. Mm-hmm. And we started traveling, and so obviously I found out very quickly what it's like to have lots and lots of schools. Like a lot of kids, you'll hear that they went to elementary school, they went to middle school, they went to high school, and then they graduate. Mm-hmm. No, I had a lot of grade schools, and I had 4 high schools. Wow. And I moved around a lot, and honestly, I think that ultimately that did mold me. Mm-hmm. And I remember in my teen years, I remember hating my mom and dad for doing that to me.
Okay.
And it's so funny, the way I got them back is I ended up joining the Army myself.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? And but what it did, so I'm actually very shy. Mm-hmm. And when people meet me and I say that, they're always like, "Oh yeah, okay, you're not shy." But really, what I learned was if you move that much and you want to make friends, you can't be shy. You got to be outgoing. So I fought through the shyness, and ultimately I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't have had those years of being an Army brat and those years being in the Army myself. All what molded me to who I am. But as far as mentors, I mean, I couldn't even begin to list the amount of teachers that made a difference on my life,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of my aunts and my uncles. You know, when I was able to come back and visit Ohio, and one of my aunts and uncles, they actually both were in the Air Force, and then they kind of, it was weird. They were almost stationed near us a lot when my dad was stationed.
Mm-hmm.
So they made an impact on my life. And then when I got out of the Army and I got into the car business, man, I had so many good mentors, and some of them, they weren't that good. They did mean things, but I say it's still a mentor. Like, I'll never forget a guy. There was an older gentleman in sales, old school sales, and he took a phone call, and the customer basically told him that they weren't going to buy from him, that they were buying elsewhere, and he said some kind of mean words to them and hung up on them.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, wow. And so that, believe it or not, was still a mentorship to me, because I know that whenever a customer bought elsewhere, I had a whole different thing I'd say. Hey, congratulations on your purchase. The next time you're in the market, please consider me. By the way, do you know anyone else looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? And I basically went for the referral. And then I would send them a handwritten congratulatory letter to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they would call me all the time and say, you know what? I didn't even buy a car from you. I didn't get a thank you card from my salesperson. I got one from you.
Right.
And I didn't even buy from you.
Yeah.
Next time, we're coming to see you.
Yeah.
I kept up with people. And then I started the Brady Battalion, my newsletter I was sending out every 3 months. And I was always talking about handwritten postcards and handwritten letters, and salespeopeople would be like grumbling.
Yeah, you used to hit us with that. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You just go and I send a handwritten letter. I'd be like,
yeah, just because it's
Right.
you know, and even today, in today's social media and texting and, you know, video world,
right.
I still say, write a handwritten thank you card.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's and send it via snail mail, because it does. People still like it. Like it means something when you take the time to do that.
That's it. It's something tangible, and it's unexpected.
Yep.
You know, that's awesome, man. So, you know, traveling around in different schools and meeting different people and having to deal with different personalities and all that. So that really molded you to be the Don that we know today, man. So that's awesome. And I was really looking for, you know, what led you to the places that you have been, and the military, right? So I was going to ask about the military.
Yes.
So it was your father and some other family members who planted that seed,
right?
And you joined.
Yep.
The military. So I know even within that, what do you think in your service helped you to be a better salesman when it came to
well, you know what's weird is I didn't know if I was going to be a good salesman. But my grandpa was a great salesperson, and he did he had, in fact, he started his own company, Don Brady and Sons, and he was selling. I mean, think about this. He was carrying that little black basket, and he was knocking on doors, and he was selling coffee, toilet paper, all the things people need, and that was it feels like forever ago, and now it's almost like, well, basically now it's Amazon that does that, right?
Right.
But you don't have the guy that's there like taking your order and hand delivering this stuff to you. People like that, where people are bringing stuff right to your door. He was doing that, man, in the 50s and the 60s and in the 70s and 80s. I mean, it went on. My uncle continued to work with him. So he was a great salesperson, and then my dad was a great salesperson. So I wasn't sure if I had it. I mean, I spent, like I said, 10 years in the Army, and I got out, and I got in the car business, and it was like 97, somewhere in 1997. And I remember looking at the ad in the paper, and I was looking for a law enforcement position here in the area, and it takes time to get on a department. So I was looking at the paper, and I saw no pressure sales, no commission, you know, so I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So I went and it was funny because I went to apply, and I went through hours of interviews. They were having all these people interview me, and they end up coming in and saying, you know, we just don't think you have what it takes to sell cars. We appreciate your military service. You know, we appreciate you taking the time, but we just don't think you have what it takes. And I'm like, okay. That was my first interview in the car business. I'm like, okay. So I left. I was doing security. I was working at a hotel as a night clerk at the time. Always hustling, you know, I mean, just, you know, with that, you know what that's all about. And I get a phone call a few days later, and by that same dealership, and they said, we want to talk to you about a different opportunity. So I went back, and I went through, it was a different store, went through all these interviews, and it was weird, man. They came back in and they said basically the same thing. We appreciate your service and your time. We just don't think you have what it takes. And at this point, I mean, I had spent hours with this dealer group, right?
Right.
I said, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go down the street to your competitor, and I'm going to start selling cars to them, and I'm going to outsell every salesperson on your floor. I'm going to outsell all of them. And he was like, can you hold on for a second? And he walked out, and he came back in, and he says, here's the keys to your demo. You start on Monday.
There you go.
And that's kind of how I got into the car business. And they gave me the best training on the planet. Again, every step I've taken has led me to where I'm at, and I love where I'm at. Right. So to me, I don't think if I went back, I don't think if I could have seen the future, and I would have taken these same steps to get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So,
and that's I always try to find the seed, you know what I'm saying, of motivation that causes a person to make the choices that they make in life, right? So the military, and then the sales piece, your grandfather, your dad. So you that was all around you.
Yeah.
So that's you picked up on that, and that's what motivated you to who you are, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so.
And I've had a lot of fun doing it. So, and it's weird because and this was, I don't necessarily make, I can't say I don't make rash decisions. I make decisions, and they're not always the right decision, but they're what decision I made, right? And I remember in January of 2020 that I had made the decision that I was going to walk away from the car business. And you got to understand, I pretty much didn't own a vehicle per se for 20 years. Like, I was driving demos, I was doing different things. And so I, as a GM of a store, to decide to not do the GM role anymore, I mean, I've got to turn in the keys to the store, the keys to my car, and I got to get a ride home. I made the decision in mid-January of 2020 that I was done with the retail side of the car business. Mm-hmm. I knew that I wanted to do something in the world of the car business because I still love it. I just didn't want to do the bell-to-bell 6-7 days a week, early in the morning to late at night, which you spent a minute with that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I jumped, and I jumped blindly, and I didn't have a job. I didn't really have a nest egg. I made the decision I was going to do it, and I jumped, and I decided I was going to go to NADA 2020 in Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. I think it was February of 2020, and I did it, and I jumped, and I remember I took a selfie of myself at the airport, and I posted it on LinkedIn. I only had, at the time, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 followers or connections. Excuse me. And for some reason, 100,000 people were interested.
That's wild.
In the fact that I was going to Las Vegas to look. And I said, when I come back after that week in NADA, I'm coming back with a job. I mean, I was so determined. I was going to fly out there, and I was coming back working for some company to help car dealers.
Right.
Well, at the end of that week, I think I had close to 130 job offers.
Wow.
And what I did was I kept narrowing it down till I got down to about 5 or 6 companies. And then that's when Don Brady Consulting Inc. was born. I decided, I'm going to rep all 5 or 6 of these companies.
There you go.
So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do, Don Brady Consulting Inc. I'll never forget, I went to the first dealership with what I called my briefcase of no-brainers. And the guy that he knew me, he runs a car dealership in the area. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, come on in, show me what you got. So I went in and I presented these 5 companies. And he looks at me and he says, that sucked. He says, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? He says, it really was not good, Don. He says, you're one of the best car salespeople I've ever known. Best manager, best GM. He says, you need to go into a store, get back into a store. He says, this ain't working, man. He says, if you're passionate about something, no one can stop you, right? Mm-hmm. He says, you really need to pick a company and rep that company. So ultimately, Ship Your Car Now was born, right? Yeah. They're great. They're out of Boca Raton, Florida, and the owner, Gavin Keston, he's the founder and the CEO. Great guy. He's got a great team, and it was funny. So I've been helping car dealers all over the country transport vehicles, and more importantly, we're a technology company. So I give them the technology so they can put a button on every car on their website, so people in the middle of the night and on weekends or whatever when they're closed can not only look at their car, but they can be in Illinois and the car's in California, and they can push a button and get an instant shipping quote. So it basically turns them into a better version to Carvana and Vroom. I apologize to Carvana and Vroom, but it's the fact that they are able to get a car shipped right to their door, and then I can help them ship cars from the auction by truckloads. Right. And then, but the social media thing, man, I mean, I would have never believed 40,000 people would care about what I'm doing, but they do, and I call them a family because my dad passed away about a year and a half ago, and they helped me through it, man. There's people on social media that got in their cars and drove to Ohio for his funeral. I mean, pretty awesome.
Yeah, that speaks to who you are as a person, man. You know, you spoke about me at the beginning. I'm gonna tell you, you are a really great guy, man. Big personality. I love it. You know what I'm saying? So that speaks to you as a person, man. So I was gonna ask you. So shipping cars, right? So all over the country, right?
Yep.
Do you go any further than that? Is it just in the U.S.?
No, honestly, I can ship anything, anywhere. So I mean, really all over the world. Wow, I mean, I can make that happen. So I mean, it's not just nationwide; it's worldwide. I don't talk about it as much on social media,
right?
But I need them. I mean, I can move cars in Canada. I can move cars from Canada to the U.S., from U.S. to Canada. But really, there's not a place in the world. I mean, right now, it'd probably be hard to get into Russia and to some of those places, but no, I mean, I can move literally anything, boats and RVs, and I mean, I moved a 10,000 pound safe for a customer. I mean, I've said as long as it doesn't eat, I can move it. So like, I can't move people and
no elephants,
no animals, no, nothing like that. But just about anything else I can move.
Okay, that's cool. So you can put it on a bone. I said a bone. You can put it on a boat or a plane.
Yes.
To get it to where it needs to go.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that's cool. And I was gonna ask you, like, what's the biggest vehicle? I know you said you can ship a truckload.
Yes.
Right. But what's the biggest standalone vehicle that you've shipped?
Well, I moved the new Hummer EV. Okay. Which that's a big vehicle. Okay. I mean, it really is. I mean, as far as none that really stands out. I mean, I've moved Land Cruisers. Okay. I mean, they're pretty big vehicles. Haven't moved any tanks yet. Okay. But I really want to help the government. Like I've it's not easy to tap into that. And right. I mean. And my brother, who I'm so proud of him, he's getting ready to retire with 30 years from the military, and he wants to choose his retirement job to work with his brother. So I'm very excited about having him on board. But he's being 30 years in the military. He's got some connections, so hopefully we can squeeze in there and start moving some truckloads or some of military vehicles. I think that would be fun.
Right, tap in.
Yeah, tap in.
Hey, Liv, is that your phone on the desk in there?
The vibrating?
Is she still, or is that yours?
That's been mine.
Oh, that's yours? Oh, okay.
Is that gonna?
I don't think it picked up. Oh, she must have put the headphones down. Okay. All right, you can toss it over. Yeah. I knew I was hearing the phone. I'm like, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so that's awesome, man. So the biggest vehicle, Hummer, right, or the heaviest.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, I think it was the EVs. I mean, I know the EVs are like the buzzword of the car industry. Yeah. And I was actually on a TV show,
right?
Charge Across America, and which is funny because you can still watch it. It's if you go to chargeacrossAmerica.com. Yeah. It was on NBC Sports. Yep. So I had my what do they call that moment of fame
15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. But I had the time of my life, and it was something that's actually going to be on my obituary. Like, I know that's kind of morbid, but it's going to be on there. My 10 years in the Army, my 22 years in the car business, and the fact that I was on Charge Across America.
Oh yeah.
But it was fun, but it also, we were trying to demystify the fact of EVs, right?
Right.
But what we kind of proved, in my opinion, in a way, was that we're not really quite ready as a country to make that switch to all electric vehicles. So I enjoyed it, but these EVs, what I was getting to was these things are heavy, and they're heavier than a normal car. So like a car carrier, a maxed out car carrier, it's usually 8 vehicles, right? If those were EVs and they pulled into a weigh station, they would be over their weight limit. So they can really only carry like 4 vehicles if they're EVs. It's one of the things that I hear everybody talking about. Infrastructure wise, we're not ready. For everyone to be plugging in, because it would knock out grids of electric or whatever. What they haven't talked about is we're not gonna be able to transport them, not legally. I mean, so these truck drivers are gonna have to eat one of 2 things. You want to go across country with a truckload of vehicles. If they're EVs, you're only gonna be able to carry 4, but you're still gonna have to pay the price of 8. So it's gonna cost more money. So that's one of the things I don't hear a lot of people out there talking about, unless they change the laws and allow them to carry more vehicles. But if that's the case, think about the wear on the trucks, the wear on the roads, all those things. So it's interesting. I mean, I personally love electric vehicles. To me, they're quiet, they're refined, they're nice. I mean, but I guess nobody wants to be forced to drive with, don't say I can't buy a gas car. Then I'm like, oh no, I want one then. I want a gas one then, because we're Americans. We get to do what we want to do. We get to rebel. We have rights. So who knows where it's going to go, but I see both sides of it. I do love the EVs. But we'll see how it goes.
I was going to touch on that, the charge across America. But before I do, I know you spoke about it a little bit, but I want to know the most luxurious vehicle that you've shipped. Is anything stick out there?
I'm luxurious. So here's what's funny. I'm a car guy. So just like everybody, I've moved some antique vehicles that I think are amazing. I've moved Ferraris, from New York to California. Those are, from a lot of out of Ohio. I move a lot of really nice cars out of Ohio. It's everyone has their opinion of what's the luxurious car. You know what I mean? I've moved a lot of vehicles for NFL players, and it's weird when I don't ever post them on social media, but I've had movie stars that have reached out to get cars moved for them. Recently, I had a movie star that bought his son I wish I could talk about who he was, but they reached out and we moved a car for him for his son's 17th birthday.
Wow.
So that was pretty exciting. But it's neat when you miss a call and you get a voicemail, I always feel bad when I miss the call, but then when you get on there and they're like, "Hi Don, it's so and so from and they name their NFL team that they it's hard not to be a little bit starstruck. I call them back and I'm excited to help them, right? And but yeah, they're a lot of them, they have lifted Raptor trucks. They're not and I think even then they're a little surprised at how much it costs, because it's not a car, it's a lifted Raptor truck. But yeah, it's I can't even tell you how many times pure excitement that I get to help people move these vehicles. And the conversations that I've had with a lot of people out there, like I move some vehicles, truckloads for some very large dealer groups in the country. And then I have someone call and say, "Hey, can you move my grandma's car from Michigan to Florida?" And I'll never forget the time I was freaking out because we were moving grandma's car from Michigan to Florida. And delays happen that people don't always understand, and that it's not like Amazon. There's so many things that can happen with these carrier drivers. And I've got a lot of respect for the truck drivers in our country, more so than I ever did, right? But they get delays like weather and mechanical breakdowns, and DOT pulls them into a weigh station and delays them, and all these things happen, right? And they just do what they got to do, right? No matter what the weather, they're doing what they got to do. But I had grandma's car was getting delayed. The customer was upset, and I was freaking out because I'm a wear my heart on my sleeve guy, right? And one of my superiors at Ship Your Car Now calls me and he says, "We're moving truckloads for so-and-so, and you're freaking out about this one vehicle." And I said, "Grandma is just as important as that big company."
There you go.
To my core, and he feels the same way, and Ship Your Car Now feels the same way. So it's neat that we have that, you know, and I think that if I just keep doing that, it's going to shine through. People are going to see,
right.
That's the guy I want to have help me move cars.
There you go.
You know,
there you go. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So, I do want to, because I was going to talk to you about the Charge Across America on NBC. So this you talking about being famous.
I'm not famous.
Right,
not famous.
Right. But man, so did you? So it was how many teams was it?
So it was 5 teams of 2.
Mm-hmm.
So and they had a lot of people try to get on that show,
right.
And I was already honored that I got selected. I didn't realize one of the reasons they selected me. So they had and the teams, which now those teams that those other 9 people, and not only that, the whole supporting cast, Park My Fleet and Charge Across America, they were all involved. And of course, Ship Your Car Now was one of the sponsors. There was a lot of great sponsors of the show. Well, they're like family to me, all of them. And I, you know, it's again, when that was 10 days that you wouldn't imagine, you know, where I had a camera in my face and I had a cameraman in the back seat,
right,
full-size camera. I couldn't get out of the car unless the cameraman was ready for me to step out of the car. Yeah. And you walk into a grocery store, cameraman's right there. People are walking up like, who are you? What is this? You know? And I'm handing out my coins. I'm passing out coins, and I'm talking to everybody. My co-driver, my partner, Dennis, he was like, "What are you running for governor? We're in a race here, man. Let's go!" Right? And I'm talking and, you know, shaking hands and.
Right.
Well, and he was neat. Well, it turns out that Dennis and I, the reason they picked us, and I don't think I hope it's not the only reason, but they did it because we were the old guys.
Oh, really?
We were the ones that weren't as technology savvy as the others, and it was pretty evident. And we came in 4th out of 5th.
Okay.
And only because the 5th place they had to get another vehicle because their vehicle completely died.
Oh, wow.
So we would have probably been in last place. But honestly, there was moments when Las Vegas was our destination, we came in 1st on that particular stretch.
Right.
And to us, that was everything. Like we were so excited. We came into the Speedway in Las Vegas in 1st place, you know, won that day. Yeah. But it was awesome. And really, if you watch the show, it's basically a pilot. Like they're still working on selling the rights to Netflix or whatever, or whoever they're going to try to sell it to. And I think it's important. I think hopefully Netflix will pick it up because I think then they'll put all the other embarrassing moments, and there was some embarrassing moments really? On that trip. You know, and you didn't really get to see it on the pilot or the show and they cut out all the commercials, so it's like, I don't know, 40 minutes. Yeah. You should watch it, and it was very neat. But there was a $10,000 grand prize, which again, spoiler alert, we didn't win. I didn't win, and I think I even signed a contract that the most I can make was $50. So it's even if it does sell, I'm still going to be Don Brady, you know, from Alliance, Ohio, with, you know, not very much money, but that's okay. I'm loving what I'm doing.
Oh yeah. That can still be a vehicle. You know, it's exposure. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if it gets released, you can put it out there like, hey, that's me.
Well, it's funny. So I did post a lot on social media through that journey, and I have had some dealerships. And as you know, I travel a little bit, and I walk into a car dealership, and a lot of them know me from social media, but others I have had it happen where they're like, "You're the Charge Across America guy."
There it is.
And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's me." Yeah, but honestly, it was so much fun, man. And I learned a lot of things, like range anxiety is real, whether people realize it or not. But I mean, there was a moment that we were driving and we were going up a mountain, and we knew we had to plot our course, right? And we were at like 4 miles left on electric with like 30 miles to go.
Oh, wow.
As we were climbing a mountain in Colorado, and we had turned off the air, so we're sweating, and we're like panicking, right?
Trying to save battery.
Trying to do everything we can to save battery. We get to the top of that mountain, and then we're going down, and by the time we coasted to the bottom, we had like 80 miles to go. So it regenerated as it was going down the hill.
Okay.
So that was kind of neat. I was when he was driving, I was the navigator, and vice versa. And I was on my phone, doing the navigating, and I was really posting on social media. And Dennis is, he's a great guy, but he was like, dude, what are you doing, man? And I said, what? I'm navigating. Well, it turns out we're on the turnpike, and I don't know how I did it, but somehow I clicked on no tolls while we're on the turnpike.
Oh, no.
Well, if you ever do that, if you're ever curious, while you're on the turnpike, punch in no tolls. What it does is it gets you off the turnpike as quickly as possible.
Right.
And then if there's no other way to go, which we didn't have any other way, it takes me back to the back gate of the turnpike.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they won't let you in. So we almost ran out of electric charge because I made that mistake. And I ended up telling Dennis on camera. So it's all on camera. I'm like,
wow.
I'm sorry, man. I mean, so anyway, we made it. I don't know how we made it, but we made it that time too. And then I'll never forget the 2 M&Ms. I had bought a bag of M&Ms and they were sitting in between us. And I reached in and I ate those last 2 M&Ms. And Dennis was driving, and I watched him reach in, and he's like, he looks at me and he says, did you eat the last 2 M&Ms? And I said, yes, sir. He was so mad at me.
Oh, no.
And it was all on camera. And we literally had like a little blow up about these M&Ms. And the cameraman's afterwards, I apologized, and he says, "Don't apologize. That was great TV.
That's content.
Great TV.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's part of. I mean, that'll probably be out there if it sells.
Especially when you're the driver, man. That's keeping you going, man. Keeping you up.
I know, man. I know.
You just ate the last 2 M&Ms down.
Yeah.
That's like
So our next stop, I ran into Walmart and I threw him like 2 bags of M&Ms because I don't want them now. So, but no, we honestly, he is like a lifelong brother of mine. I mean, he's. Honestly, that was, and again, after my dad died, I had conversations with him, and I there's not anyone in there that I couldn't call family now. I mean, that was a great 10, 12 days of my life.
There you go. And you said it's online where people can actually go and see that, right?
Yep. If you go to chargeacrossamerica.com, go right to the website. It's like right there, and you can click on watch the show, and you can watch it, and then you can, make fun of me. It's okay.
It's all good. Cool. So let's go to, I know that, we talk about being, hustlers and, anything that we want to do, we jump at it and just make it happen. Yeah. So I just saw the other day, which I didn't know. So you're really going to open up a dealership now, correct?
Yeah. So it's people that have seen that I've done it or that I'm doing it, they're like, so you really miss it. So, I mean, there's not a month, a week that goes by that I'm not offered a job back in a car dealership. I mean, I can, and I love this business. Like what's neat about it is I can work at a car dealership anywhere in the United States of America, and all I got to really do in any capacity. Like I can be a desk manager, I can be a sales manager, I can be a finance manager, I can be the GM if they wanted or needed me for that. I could walk into a store and basically say, I just need a desk and a phone, and I'm gonna probably sell more cars than anybody here.
That's it.
I don't mean to be mean, but I'm gonna sit down with customers. I'm gonna do a good needs assessment. When it comes to internet leads, phone ups, I don't think there's anybody better than me. I mean, I'm really, really good at setting the appointments or selling the car over the phone. Whatever's necessary, whatever's needed, how the customer wants to buy, I can meet them at that place, right? Oh, yeah. And now this is a different world, a different market. I mean, it changed during the pandemic, and it's and then you got the Carvanas and the Vrooms, and you got what Carvana and Vroom did was they proved that there are a segment of people that really don't want to go to a car dealership to buy a car. They want to be able to sit at their home and click a button, buttons, and have a car delivered to them. So I think that the smart dealers are realizing that, and they sell the ones that they sell that are local, the ones that come in, but they also don't shun the ones that are shopping online, and they meet them where they want to buy, right? Mm-hmm. So I do miss the car business, but I don't miss it enough. So I thought, I bought this building that's it's the national headquarters of Don Brady Consulting, Inc. It's the Alliance, Ohio branch of Ship Your Car Now, right? Mm-hmm. And I love the building. I ended up doing a remodel of the office, and it's got all the space. And then I put up this 8.5-foot privacy fence around all 4 basically city blocks So people come in and are like, it's like when are you going to build the moat? Like it's, it's, so I've got this, and I'm like, so I was thinking, what can I do with this? And then I don't know what hit me, but I was like, I might as well get my car dealer license, right?
Yeah.
So yes, I just got my license with the state of Ohio as a used car dealer.
Okay.
I had my grand opening, which was just me, and I had no one show up.
No.
But I posted because it was raining. I don't have any cars yet, so I haven't even bought a car. Like I don't even have a car to sell, right?
Right.
So really, if they would have showed up, I've been like, so it's I'm not going to have a big inventory, although I could probably fit 200 cars there, right? My plan is to make it a real small independent dealership. I want to hand pick the vehicles that I buy from nationwide, and I want to bring them in, and then I want to sell them nationwide and deliver them to people. If they want to buy local, that's fine. But if they're out of the area, I'm going to sell to them too, right? But here's the other part of it that I really want to do. I want to do a used car locate. Do you remember the new car locates in the car business?
Yeah.
Okay, they were not the easiest thing. Customers would come in and be like, I want a white truck, and we don't have one, so now we're going to try to locate one. And it wasn't the easiest thing, but those customers knew what they wanted, and this is what they wanted, right?
Right.
I want to be able to do that on the used car side, where people can come in and basically say, I want to buy my kiddo a Civic to drive in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I want it to be an automatic. I want it to be under 100,000 miles, whatever it is, right? And I write all that down. And then I find that car for them and I help them buy it. And the neat thing is I can find that car from anywhere in the United States of America and bring it to Alliance, Ohio, because I happen to know a guy that ships cars, right? So it's going to be that flip-flop thing, right? So because sourcing inventory right now isn't easy for dealers.
Right.
So I'm going to show what I can do to source in inventory and then bring it in. And then when I sell it, I can send it right back out. So I may end up shipping that every car twice.
Right. In
depending.
and out.
Yeah. So that's kind of what my hope is. I'm also going to kind of help if people want help, negotiating with dealers on a new car side. I want to be able to help them do that too. I am a former GM with 22 years in the business.
Right.
That's going to be a small part of it, but I'm there. And I'm willing to answer questions about that anytime.
Yeah.
If they want to text me or call me.
That's it.
Yeah.
Say call the negotiator.
The closer.
The closer. There
so now I'll be closing the
yeah.
dealerships instead of, But what's neat is I've got friends all over the United States of America at car dealerships. So my hope would be to help them, connect two good people, the customer and them, for the new cars. I'm not looking to sell new cars.
Okay.
But I can help them, find that new car. Used cars, I'm gonna be able to sell them right here. I mean, that's, I can't believe it's hard to. I added used car dealer to my LinkedIn profile because now I'm a used car dealer. It feels weird. It's gonna feel really weird when I have plate number 1 on the back of a car.
There you go. And that brings me to the fact that as an entrepreneur, we have ideas, things that just come up into our minds. We like, man, what is this? Like, what am I doing? And you just act on it. So what could you say to a person that's considering getting into entrepreneurship? Like they have an idea that just popped into their head. Like, what would you say to them to assist them in making the choice to jump?
Well, never forget where you come from, right? I think is important, and also don't not do it. You got to do it, man. You got to make that jump. I mean, it's, I say, in fact, a friend of mine, I said something about making that jump, and he says, yeah, jump. You'll grow wings. You'll fly, right?
Oh yeah.
It's, and then you can't be afraid of failing. I mean, you're gonna. Look, you know how many times I fall on my face? I mean, I remember, and this is a weird example, but I had a salesperson at the last dealership that I was running, and he just refused to do videos. I wanted him to just do a video, and he was like, I don't like how I look on camera. I'm like, look at me, man. So anyway, I was the GM of this store, and somehow he got an internet lead. So I wasn't gonna. If you didn't want to follow my process on the internet leads, you just didn't get to take internet leads. And I'll never forget this. I went out. I didn't take the lead away from him. I went out to the vehicle that his customer was looking for, and I was wearing a suit. And I went out and I was doing a walk around video of this vehicle, and I had the camera, and I walked around the vehicle, and there was a hill, and it had just rained, and I'm walking backwards up this hill, videotaping this car, and I slipped, and I fell all the way down that hill, all on camera.
No.
My whole back, I was covered in mud.
Wow.
And I ended the video, and I walked in the dealership, and they're looking at me like, what happened? And I said, you're not going to believe it. I fell down that hill. I sent that video to his customer.
Oh, yeah.
A few hours later, they're walking in. I hear them. They walk in laughing, and they're like, we want to meet Don Brady, your GM, who sent us this video. And I walked up to him, and I hadn't even changed because I lived an hour from there, right? And I walk up to them, and they are laughing, and they're like, we just had to meet you, man. And just so you know, we're buying that vehicle from you. So, and that was just, I mean, you just got to do it, man. Back to the entrepreneurship, you just got to do it. If you have an idea, and it starts, I think it starts with side hustles. Like I'm gonna always be a shipping guy because I love it, right? And yeah, I'm gonna do this car dealership thing, and I'm calling it my side hustle. But eventually, sometimes side hustles, and I mean, I might have two big things going on in my life, you know, the car dealer and that, right? And it's, I mean, what did you do today? Where do you? What's your day job?
Oh man,
I want to know.
Yeah, I drive a school bus, so I get up, got to be there at 6 a.m.
Yeah,
I get off at 8:30, and I have another job that I go to. I work at a nonprofit organization from 8:30 to 1:30. Then I go back, drive the school bus from 1:45 to 4:45, and then I come in here and do my podcasting and photography and whatnot, man.
When I say I'm proud of you, I mean it. And it's side hustles are, I think multiple streams of income are important. I think they call it what you want, the side hustle. I mean, I sometimes people, when you hear I'm a hustler, they think that's a bad thing, right? And it's not what I mean. I just mean I treat my life like a running back in the NFL. My feet are always moving, and you just gotta keep your feet moving, right? And I'm also a Cleveland Browns fan, so I know I get made fun of a lot, but I love my team, right? And but I think the running back is a perfect example because the way those guys keep pushing is they keep their feet moving.
That's it.
To me, that's hustling, and that's what I got to do. We got to get multiple streams of income, but if you help people get where they want to go, I mean, call it karma, call it whatever you want. It's you really, if you help people, you're going to get really far in life. That's it. And that's what I try to do, man. Make a difference. I want to make a difference.
There you go. Yeah, man. So you sliding down that hill made me think. I always say people or entrepreneurs who have been through the mud, right? That's what I call it. You've been through the mud and you still going. Yeah, that's it. So you've been through the mud.
Yep.
You know, you said the running backs, they push through the mud.
That's correct.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So that's what you got to do, man, to make it happen. So
that's right,
man. This was awesome, Don, man.
I just enjoy talking to you, man.
Oh, for sure. It's a good deal. We're gonna have to do this again, man. I want to just let people know. If they want to reach out to you for, all the services that you provide, like where can they find you,
So I always say, first and foremost, if you're not on LinkedIn, you really should get on LinkedIn. A lot of people, I've still talked to people and people say, LinkedIn, I don't need a job. It's about connecting, LinkedIn, linking with people. So follow me on LinkedIn. I always just find Don Brady and you'll see me. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well, Don Brady, and you'll see it. And then, of course, you can text me and call me at 330-581-5247. You can email me at donbrady@shipyourcarnow.com or donbrady418@gmail.com. And then I'm in Alliance, Ohio. I mean, you can, if you're in the Alliance area, please text me. Or really, I travel, so let me know where you're at. I'd love to buy you a coffee and just to say hi. I mean, I really, the fun part about social media is when you actually meet the people and it's funny because when they do meet me, that's how my website, therealdonbrady.com, came about, because people would meet me and say, you're the real Don Brady. Like you're who you and it's weird because there's some people on social media that they're not real, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but they're not real. Like they have this phony facade, right? Mm-hmm. And when people meet me, they're like, man, you're the same guy that that stumbling, bumbling guy, right? That And I am. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just me, right? And that's all I want to be. Like I'm proud of that fact that I get to just be myself, and I feel like I'm doing well. I'm not looking to get rich. I'm looking to just make a comfortable living, help people along the way. Yeah. And it's neat. Like I just had a dealership that reached out to me and they said, "Hey, can you come talk to our sales team about social media and how to brand themselves?" And I said, "Sure." And it was so fun because it was the GM and he says, "But wear a suit. The owner's going to be there, so wear a suit." And I said, "Okay." So I woke up that morning. I'm thinking, I got an idea. So I put on my Batman suit. And I'm not making this up. It's the real Batman suit, like from the 1990 Michael Keaton era, like with the big wingspan.
Right.
Crazy, right? And I've been told I actually kind of look like him. I'm a little shorter, but I actually look like him, right? So I put on this Batman suit, and then I went to Dunkin' Donuts to buy them coffee, box of Joe and cups and some donuts.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to Starbucks, and all in the Batman suit. It's funny when you're wearing that suit and you walk in, how the reaction of how they look at you is a little weird. Right. And but I went there, and I walked into the dealership early, and I walk up, and the receptionist is sitting there, and it's like her eyes get wide. She's like, and I walk up, and I said, "I'm here to see the GM and the owner," and they're like, "Are they expecting you?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, they're in a meeting." She says, "Who should I tell them's here?" And I said, "Batman." And she says, "Of course. Why didn't I think of that?"
Right.
So she went back, and then I ended up giving the meeting in my Batman suit, and everybody, all the salespeople were so engaged. And the GM afterwards said, "I have never seen my team that engaged before," right? So I am in the process of writing a book, and
there it is.
I want to write the book, and I want it to be called "You Don't Have to Be Batman to Market Yourself." That's or brand awesome. Yourself. Branding is so important, and when I say branding, I mean branding and just being you. Like I fell in love with your cartoon characters for your business here.
Appreciate it.
And I have my cartoon character. It's on my van. Like I'm a little bit of a weirdo, right? But it's who I am, and and Don Brady is my name, and that's who I am, right? So when I named my company Don Brady Consulting Inc., I was told, "Oh, you don't want to do that because what happens if you do something wrong and you get sued?" And I said, "I'm not going to not name my company. I'm just not going to do anything wrong to get sued, right?"
There you go.
And at the end of the day, if I get sued for false reasons, it's still I'm not going to give up my name for that. So I think believe in yourself. And if you can't believe in yourself and you need someone to believe in you, again, reach out to me because I'll believe in you.
There you go.
And I'll do everything I can to help you market and brand your business. And this studio and you and your team, you guys can help them brand and market themselves.
Oh, for sure.
Websites, headshots, all those things that you guys are doing, which I don't even know the whole what is it, a menu of what you guys do, but it's a lot, right? This is find a company like this or this one because you can help people nationwide. They don't have to be
all
here.
over websites, logos.
Yeah. So if you need help with that marketing, man, they got to get with you so you can help them. There's so many people that are out there to help, and I'm excited that I'm here, man. Oh yeah, with you.
This is awesome. This is awesome, man. It's been great. It's so many nuggets, man, in here.
Yep.
So this was awesome. I appreciate you coming, man, and I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yep. So, looking forward to more too.
Oh, for sure. Reach out to Don Brady, y'all. He might show up in the Batman suit, and you might get a handwritten letter.
You probably will get a handwritten letter. Yep.
Maybe not the suit, but the letter for sure.
I have the suit, but I also have Elmo and Cookie Monster, and I mean I do a pretty good Beetlejuice. I don't mind. I mean, I even did the Phantom of Auto Transport. I mean, I saw that. Right. I dyed my hair black and I cut it, and I did the Wild Thing from Major League. I mean, I step out there a little bit.
That's it.
I'm a little crazy.
Hey, man, you got to step out there if you want to make it happen.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. With that being said, thank you so much, Don. All right. Do what you got to do to make it happen. Don't give up. Quit for what? Until next time. Peace.
Peace.